The Harlem Renaissance by Claudia S.wmv. What was once known as the Negro movement became the reason why we now have jazz music, African American artists, writers, and performers today. This movement is well known in today's society as the Harlem Renaissance. The Harlem Renaissance began during the 1920s, though many see the 20s as a time of singing, dancing, and people in flappers and beads. It was more than just that. It was a time when African American musicians, artists, and writers became famous for their work. For many, this was a chance to move toward high art and get away from the folk idioms and comic writing that had been the focus of their lives for many years. One man, by the name of County Colon, once said, "I want to be a poet, not a Negro poet." But many, including County Colon, took their old life of folk idioms and comic writing and turned them into great pieces of writing and music, like jazz. During World War I, many African Americans traveled to big cities like Chicago, Detroit, and New York. One city, Harlem, New York, attracted many. It became a hotspot for musicians, artists, and writers looking for fame. Broadway plays, like Shuffle Along, became big. Jazz also became a favorite. Many African Americans who lived the rural life and dreamed of becoming famous were now living the urban life and living in fame. After the stock market crash in 1929, the Harlem Renaissance slowed down and came to a close. However, the spirit of the African Americans did not. Many, including the famous Cab Calloway, Duke Ellington, and Bessie Smith, continued their fame. Although the Harlem Renaissance was over, many African Americans had advanced into a new era in American culture and politics. Many of the songs we listen to, poems and books we read, and pieces of art we look at were created back in the 1920s during the Harlem Renaissance. The Harlem Renaissance is known as many things, like the Negro movement, but to me, it is and was a time when African Americans found their spot in American culture and helped shape the world I live in today.